Hello YouTube, it's Priscilla, and today I am here to do my January wrap-up video. So I read a total of 10 books this month. I can't believe I read that many. I've never pushed myself to do that. I never thought I would be able to do that. But anyways, let me tell you what I read. The first book I read is Rhett Butler's People by Donald McCaig. This is like a companion novel to Gone with the Wind, dealing with some stuff that isn't explored in Gone with the Wind, or is explored, but it explores it from Rhett's point of view. So that's really cool. It was a very good book. The next book I actually reread. It was The Elite by Kiera Cass. And every time I mention this book, I always talk about how the one is coming out and the selection stories because I'm so excited. Yes. Oh, I can't wait. The next book I read was Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. I mentioned this book in my haul video. It is a retelling of the myth of Cupid and Psyche through the eyes of Psyche's sister, and it was a really good book. It was very, very different from the other C.S. Lewis stuff I've read, but it was still amazing. He's an amazing writer, and this was actually his favorite book that he wrote. He felt it was his most I guess evolved creative book, and it was very good, so I would probably recommend this. The next book I read was East of the Sun, West of the Moon by Jackie Morris. I also mentioned this one in my haul video. It is a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. This book was so beautiful. This is probably my favorite, one of the best fairy tale retellings I've ever read. It's beautiful. The only thing is there's a lot of telling instead of maybe showing, so if you don't like that, you may not like reading it, but it was just beautiful, and I would totally just recommend this book. It has beautiful illustrations, which I showed in the haul, but let me see if I can find another one to show. Oh, here's one. Just so beautiful and just amazing going with the story, and so yes, I'm gonna try to probably do a review on this book. So yeah, this is just really good. The next book I read was Ordinary Princess by MMK. I actually filmed a review on this and I lost the footage, so I don't know if I'm going to refilm a review on this. I might. This is a very cute, good book. It's a children's book. It's pretty short, but it tells the story of a girl named Amy who is the 7th princess born to her family, and instead of having the stereotypical sort of traits of a princess in a fairy tale, she's ordinary. So it's about how she gets along in that world and how you deal with an ordinary person in a fairy tale. The next book I read is by Sarah Dessen. It's Lock and Key. This was a very good book. Has a little more mature content, so I would recommend maybe a bit older teen, but it was still a very good book. It was really heartwarming and just wonderful. And it was my first Sarah Dessen book ever because Bookables, she suggested that if you were going to start with a Sarah Dessen book, you try Lock and Key. So I decided to start with it, and I'm glad that I did. It was very good. Next book I read is nonfiction, and it has to do with writing because I'm a writer. I think I've mentioned that before on this channel. But anyways, it was Writing Magic by Gail Carson Levine. This was really helpful. It's very simplified because it's actually for young adults, but it had some great tips in it, some great ideas, some great writing prompts, which are great exercises when you can't think of anything to write. So I would definitely recommend this book to any writers if you just want a little kind of fun book, or maybe you're a new writer and you want to get started with something kind of simple and just helpful with a lot of fun ideas. I would definitely recommend this one for that. The next book I read was James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that right. This was pretty good. This is probably my least favorite book I read this month, and it wasn't that it was just bad. It was just I don't know, it just wasn't my thing, but it was still a pretty good book. I mean, I think that most people would like it. I don't know why I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but it's still definitely worth reading if you like fairy tales, if you like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He also wrote that. So yeah. The next book I read was After Dark by Haruki Murakami, I think is how you say his name. This was a very weird book, I'm not gonna lie. This is a translated novel. It was originally written in Japanese. It's a beautiful story. It's very interesting. It takes place between, I think midnight and 6 a.m. or so in Tokyo, in like an area of the city, and it follows a girl who's about to go to college and study Chinese in Beijing, I think it is, but it just kind of follows her through one of her last nights in Tokyo. And you follow some other characters too, but it was a little weird. It was not like my favorite book that I've ever read, but it was still pretty interesting if you're looking for like a translated novel about Tokyo or something like that. The final book I read this month, I actually read on my Kindle app for my iPad. It was Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. A very good Nicholas Sparks book. I've read The Notebook and I didn't like The Notebook book. I just didn't. I read The Last Song and I was okay with that one, but I really, really liked Dear John. I think if you want to read a Nicholas Sparks book, that is the book I would recommend. Okay, now on to the writing portion of our wrap up. Okay, so I use this app called Write Chain, which counts the number of words that you write. You input it each day and it keeps track of your total amount of words. So for this month, I wrote 5,650. And you know that if you remember from my goal video, I wanted to write 1,000 words a day. So obviously I did not meet that goal this month. However, next month I'm going to try my hardest to meet it. I'm going to do more writing and try to work harder towards that goal. I'm still proud that I at least wrote that, because you have to start somewhere. So anyways, those are my books that I read, my writing report, and that's my January wrap up. I will see you in February.